afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lucy Carbolito Montanola, and I'm from the beautiful island of Guam.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Bridget Bergman. I'm from Utrecht, Holland.
Hello, I'm the Pageant Nerd. Thanks for checking out my latest video. As excitement builds towards the 72nd Miss Universe, coming to us from El Salvador on November 18, I thought I'd dig around in the history books of my favourite pageant and cover a topic requested by many of you in one form or another.
Miss South Africa 2023 is...
But before I do, I wanted to briefly mention my thoughts on the recently completed Miss South Africa, as requested by viewer Shubham Pandey. I must say, Miss South Africa to me is really showing the way forward for how a pageant can evolve in the 21st century. The Crown Chasers format was incredible, and really allowed the delegates to develop skills in a number of areas, while also selecting the most deserving winner. The cherry on top for me was Natasha Joubert's announcement after winning the crown that her mission for the full 365 days of her reign was to be Miss South Africa in South Africa. That her goal all along wasn't to right the wrongs of her shocking non-placement at Miss Universe 2020, which I've thought all along was because the Miss Universe organisation wasn't happy she was sent to their pageant after placing second runner-up, Miss World and Miss Supranational getting the higher placed queens. In a recent interview on an Afrikaans radio station, Natasha said the Miss Universe organisation had actually given her permission to compete in El Salvador, which would have made her the first ever contestant to appear in the pageant twice. This, however, was later confirmed by the Miss South Africa organisation to be incorrect. That doesn't explain why the Miss Universe Instagram account briefly had Natasha as South Africa's entrant. I, like many of you, had hoped this wasn't another example of their poor social media management. But alas. Nevertheless, Natasha also turned down the opportunity to compete at Miss Supranational and follow in the footsteps of Lalela Mswane, who won the 2022 crown after also competing in Miss Universe. All round a great pageant, fantastic format and deserving winner. And I'm excited to see how Miss Universe South Africa, Bryony Govender, fares in November, especially given the fact South Africa is once again sending a runner-up and not its winner. Thanks again, Shubham, for the request. And have no fear, I'll also be covering the even more recently completed Miss Universe Thailand. That's coming very soon. Okay, on to the main event for this video. Winning a special award at Miss Universe can be a source of huge pride, often for nations that aren't a genuine contender for the main title, but is nonetheless an acknowledgement of making an impact in other ways. By far, the three most enduring awards at Miss Universe, and indeed at most international pageants, are Best National Costume, Miss Congeniality, and Miss Photogenic. The Congeniality Award has gone by a couple of other names over the years, and Miss Photogenic has seemingly lost its relevance in more recent times. Today, I'll cover the finer points, the history, and a bunch of nerdy facts about those awards and Best National Costume. And I'll briefly touch on some of the other special awards that have popped up here and there. How does that sound? A quick but heartfelt thank you to my amazing Super Thanks supporters. I'm truly grateful. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. I'm kicking things off with a special award that's arguably the most popular amongst pageant fans, Best National Costume. First awarded in 1962, it's been the most visual way for delegates to present their country's history and heritage to the world. In more recent years, it's provided a chance for countries to show off the creativity of its best couturiers, and at times less so about faithfully honouring their heritage. Before the Trump era, national costumes were usually what delegates wore during the opening number of the finals night telecast. But from the late 90s, national costumes were often replaced by generic cocktail dresses for the opening. When the Parade of Nations changed to a pre-recorded segment, they often got a run. But nowadays it's usually relegated, if it's shown at all, to a short segment sometime in the finals night show, when the winning national costume is announced. 29 different nations have won the 60 Best National Costume prizes handed out prior to Miss Universe 2023. Colombia and Thailand top the leaderboard with 6 victories each. 2 of 14 nations that have won multiple titles. In joint third place are Brazil, Korea and Panama with 4 each. India and Peru are next with 3 wins each, and 7 other nations have won twice: Israel, Japan, Mexico, Myanmar, Philippines, Spain and Trinidad and Tobago. On 3 occasions, the winner of Best National Costume went on to win Miss Universe. Thailand's Porntip Nakirankanok in 1988, Trinidad and Tobago's Wendy Fitzwilliam in 1998, and Amelia Vega from the Dominican Republic in 2003. On 6 occasions, the host nation has won Best National Costume: USA in 1965, Peru in 1982, Panama in 1986, Philippines in 1994, Trinidad and Tobago in 1999, and Thailand in 2005. Best National Costume has been awarded every year since 1962 except 2007, which brings me to the topic of controversial entrants over the years. In 2007, the national costume of host nation Mexico originally described an historic battle scene featuring killings and hangings, and included a bullet-studded belt. In response to the ensuing uproar, a revised final version was noticeably toned down. Miss Singapore was accused of poor taste in 2018, depicting the US-North Korea summit held in her country that year, including a mocked-up handshake between Presidents Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un. Likewise in 2019, when Jamaica's entrant was apparently an homage to a notorious slave owner, Annie Palmer. What other controversial national costumes come to mind? Leave them in the comments below. Voted on by the contestants themselves, Miss Congeniality is awarded to the friendliest delegate each year, so it's no surprise it began its life in the very first pageant in 1952 as Miss Friendship. In those early years, when Miss USA was held in the days before Miss Universe, the national and international delegates competed for this special award. It was shared between Miss Belgium and Miss Montana in 1952. And Miss Louisiana was the sole winner in 1953, California in 1964. For a short while, there was also a Most Popular Girl award alongside Miss Friendship, though I've not counted those winners in my stats here. Miss Friendship became Miss Amity in 1960, with the delegates at one time submitting their votes during the Parade of Nations. The award was changed to its current-day Miss Congeniality in 1991, a full 9 years before the Hollywood film starring Sandra Bullock made the term even more well-known. To date, there have been 71 international winners of this award, excluding those Miss USA contestants. Oddly, the Miss Friendship winner in 1954, Effie Angelakakis from Greece, didn't end up competing for the Miss Universe title, as the original Greek representative belatedly made it to Long Beach and replaced Effie, who'd been a standby delegate. 48 different nations have won the award, just 16 of them more than once. Unsurprisingly, small island nations, known for their hospitality and welcoming friendly nature, make up 6 of those 16 nations. Guam leads with 4 victories, including 3 wins in 4 years, 1985, 86 and 88. Australia, China, Japan, Trinidad and Tobago and the US Virgin Islands have 3 wins each. Another 8 nations have 2 wins apiece. But many of Miss Universe's powerhouses
South Africa, Brazil, Colombia, USA, Venezuela.
Have never won this award. Maybe it's true that the good guy or girl comes last.
Here's Maribel Arrieta, voted Miss Friendship by the contestants.
On that note, no contestant has ever won Miss Congeniality and Miss Universe. 1955 first runner-up, Maribel Arrieta of El Salvador, and 2010 second runner-up, Jacinta Campbell from Australia, have come the closest.
For example, you probably didn't know that Suzanne was the only contestant in Georgia pageant history to sweep every category except congeniality. And that is not something the women in my family aspire to anyway.
Out of the three major awards, Miss Congeniality is the one with the lowest correlation with success in the main event. Only 5 Miss Congenialities have placed in 1955, 1958, 1970, 2010, and 2013. There were ties in 1962, 1966, 2017, and 2022. Having never so much as placed or won any special award before, Trinidad and Tobago went on a hot streak in the mid-1970s, winning Miss Unity in 1975, 76 and 78, and a couple of awards in 1977, which I'll get to shortly. The 2016 Miss Congeniality, Jenny Kim of Korea, was unplaced that year, but went on to win Miss Supranational the following year. Miss Congeniality has been awarded every year of Miss Universe's existence except 2020 and 2021. Coincidentally or otherwise, the final 2 years of IMG's underwhelming 7-year custodianship of Miss Universe.
This trio includes Miss Italy, Susanna Huckstep, chosen by photographers as Miss Photogenic.
This young lady was named Miss Photogenic by the pageant press. From England, Tracy Williams.
The third of Miss Universe's long-standing special awards, Miss Photogenic was first given out in 1953 and consistently from 1956 through to 2016. Originally voted on by photographers from media outlets covering Miss Universe, the award switched to a public vote in 1996, with the emergence of the internet and presumably a decline in the number of mainstream media that covered Miss Universe. Not surprisingly, Miss Photogenic has the strongest connection between winning this award and success in the pageant proper, with 30 placements for the 62 Miss Photogenic winners, albeit most of those in the pageant's earlier years. 18 of those 30 Miss Photogenics who placed went on to reach the top 5. 4 won the crown. 1966, Margareta Arvidsson from Sweden. 1973, Margarita Moran from the Philippines. 1977, Janelle Comisión from Trinidad and Tobago. And 2001, Denise Quiñones from Puerto Rico. 3 more photogenic winners placed first runner-up, all between 1953 and 1960. And incredibly, Miss Photogenic finished second runner-up another 8 times, most recently Alba Reyes of Puerto Rico in 2004. 31 nations won Miss Photogenic at least once, 13 of them more than once. The Philippines leads the way with 7 wins, followed by Puerto Rico with 6, England with 5, and Italy, New Zealand, Spain, Sweden, Thailand and USA with 3 wins each. The Philippines and Puerto Rico have benefited the most from the change in how Miss Photogenic was decided. After the move to a public online vote in 1996, the Philippines won 5 of its 7 awards. Puerto Rico won all 6 of theirs. In contrast, all of England's earlier 5 wins were decided by the pageant photographers. Even before the change in voting method, Miss Photogenic's success in the main pageant was waning. Between 1984 and 2016, the final year the award was handed out, Miss Photogenic only placed a total of 7 times. Interestingly, 7-time Miss Universe winner, Venezuela won Miss Photogenic just once, Minorca Mercado in 1994, one of the 8 Miss Photogenics who went on to place second runner-up. Miss Photogenic 1958, Corine Rotschafer of Holland, made the top 15 that year before going on to win Miss World 1959. In 1987, Colombian Patricia Lopez Ruiz won Miss Photogenic, but shockingly didn't make the semi-finals despite being considered a major title contender. Looking at these 3 special awards together, Thailand has the most combined victories with 10, followed by the Philippines with 9, Colombia with 8, Puerto Rico with 7, England, Spain and Trinidad and Tobago with 6 each. Speaking of Thailand and England, they're the only 2 nations to win 2 of these special awards in the same year. England did so in 1962, taking Best National Costume and Miss Photogenic, as did Thailand in 2010. Thailand, Spain and Trinidad and Tobago are the only 3 nations to have won each of these 3 special awards at least once. Over the years, individual pageants and some of the more enthusiastic local organising committees have taken it upon themselves to add one-off awards specific to that year's pageant, including in 1994 and 2016 in the Philippines and 2008 in Vietnam, when prizes were awarded for wearing the local attire. For some time, there was also a style award given out by the pageant in the 90s and 2000s, sponsored by Clairol Herbal Essences. And some awards have been given to previous winners. Miss Universe 1981, Irene Saez, was given a Distinguished Achievement Award during the 1997 pageant, having gone on to a successful political career. In terms of more recent Miss Universe awards handed out to current year delegates, the Social Impact Award seems to be embedding itself, even with the recent change of ownership. Started in 2020, it's now been consistently awarded for the past 3 competitions, so here's hoping it continues this run in El Salvador in November. Maybe in future we'll see the winner of this award granted a semi-final spot, as the Beauty with a Purpose winners do at Miss World. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed my nerdy look at Miss Universe's special awards over the years. If you did, please hit the thumbs up, consider subscribing to my channel and even supporting it via Super Thanks. Thanks for watching. I'll be back soon with my next video. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from me, the Pageant Nerd.